Many of you will be familiar with Jordan Peterson. He's a world-renowned behavioural psychologist. A lot of the time he's interviewed, and he does interviews all over the place, so that's why you probably would have heard of him by now. He's asked a lot about his insights into psychology and a lot of things that a lot of debates that he's quite vocal on, one of which being sort of the progressive identity politics and things like that. So it can become a bit one track, even though he's an incredibly insightful person. It's rare that you get to see him sit down and really explain the wealth of information that he has to share. And this video I'm going to share in this post I found really fascinating. I just stumbled upon it, but it's by another very good influencer, I guess you'd call him. It's called Rob Moore. He's someone I've been following for a long time as well, and he's more like an entrepreneur and having a conversation. What was really interesting to me is that they're actually having a conversation about business and entrepreneurialism and how psychology comes into that. So he was talking about how entrepreneurs tend to be creative, tend to be, I can't remember the exact terms, but there's 5 behavioural traits, and he tells you exactly this is what makes an entrepreneur, this is what makes someone want to go out and be reckless and just start something new and be disagreeable is one of them. So someone that isn't going to fall into what's done and what's expected of them so much as finding ways of doing it themselves and actively going out and resisting the expectations of the people around them, potentially taking a lot of risk, making themselves look stupid, spending a lot of money, going broke, failing, starting again, picking themselves up, being very hardy, potentially being disagreeable, all these sorts of things that he's observed in entrepreneurs, which is really interesting. A lot of you, if you're watching this alone, you might identify with this kind of mindset. What he said also is that people that tend to go for careers and tend to go for managerial roles are more likely to be agreeable, more likely to be conscientious, more likely to fall in line with what's expected of them, more likely to have a low risk tolerance, so they don't want to take on risk. They're not willing to be creative and bold, and often aren't the best decision makers, aren't the best people to pitch to and sell to if they're just management, because they just want to follow a strategy. They don't want to take risk, and you often find this conflict between risk and strategy. We want to scale, we want to grow, we want to do crazy things and become something remarkable. It's hard to strategize that. You have to kind of take on risk. It can't be controlled. There has to be some uncontrollable element of it to be creative, if that makes sense. So being a manager, I deal with managers all the time. We generally set a risk expectation, we set a strategy, these are the goals we want to meet. We don't want to do anything outside the box, and that can be incredibly restrictive if it's not managed in the right way by the top level leadership. If the CEO isn't clear that we want to play it safe, we want to keep things ticking over, we don't want growth, that's fine, we all follow that. But where the difficulty can come is if the CEO, the leadership, wants to grow and build and do crazy things and be an innovator. It's hard to convince lower level management that that's the best way to go, that they should take on risk, unless you manage it properly, and that's something they explore, and I won't try and explain it, but it's just a very interesting concept and something that I've observed in my own personal life, and something that I've observed in practice and working, and in myself, I suppose, as well. I've always been someone that feels like I can do things my own way, and I've always had an idea of what I wanted to do, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. So it makes sense, but at the same time you need those other people that want to follow the rules, want direction, want governance, want clear systems and structures in place, want everything to be controlled and know exactly what they're doing, and they just manage and they keep things ticking over, and that's what they're about. So there needs to be that, I've spoken about this before, that sort of stone and star So there's the stone, the one that's sensible, keeping things ticking over, managing things, and the star, the one who's creative and charismatic and inspiring, and they complement each other. And when you look at behavioural analysis of teams and what makes a good team, you need more than one type of person. You can't just have crazy people that go out and be reckless, have the best ideas in the world, but they don't know how to manage money. And you don't need people that are just accountants and just keep everything sensible and taken over and never really actually achieve anything remarkable if you want a really successful business. So yeah, check it out. I really found it interesting. It was completely different from any other Jordan Peterson interview I've watched. I've watched loads. I'm really fascinated by the guy. Definitely worth a watch. And yeah, just let me know if you like it. Hope you enjoy. Hope it helps you. It's helped me. Thanks for watching. See you next week.